Shabbat Shalom, which is peace on the Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Please forgive my delay today. I'm definitely operating on CP time today. But what's more fitting on Black History Month than for us to be extremely black? So let's do some black stuff today, since it's this shortest month of the year has been given to us as Black History Month. We figured we'd go over some things here that are some very interesting points and notes that you should have in your studies, so that if these questions come forth to you, you'll know where to direct people. But before we get started, brother, would you read the oracles and entreat the angel that stands at the door to come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may make this a holy convocation by the angel's presence.
1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch on to prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness, and wrath, and anger, and clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim, for Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. Now, as we all know, the shortest month of the Gregorian calendar has been designated as Black History Month. In these 28 days, we are encouraged to learn about the accomplishments of our people. When we do this, we find that the majority of the accomplishments mentioned to us happened in this country. This sends the subliminal message that you were nothing until you were enslaved. This could not be farther from the truth. Millions watched the recently aired miniseries, The Book of Negroes. It is sad to say, but it would take a large-scale media event such as this to get the majority of us to even talk about slavery to our kids. and amongst ourselves. All the while, there is a book on our coffee table that describes our history and accomplishments like none other, and that is the Holy Bible. This is confusing to most of us, as our family Bibles were filled with pictures of people who didn't look like us. When you add to that we were never taught how to read and understand the Bible, it is no wonder why most of us have owned a Bible our entire lives, but still can't find our people in it. Year after year, we watch other ethnic groups describe or discuss the horrors of their history, including gas chambers, concentration camps, etc. The interesting part of this is that after telling their story, they are never accused of being racist or told that they are holding on to the past. How is it that when we tell our story, we get accused of both of these things? It's supposed to be Black History Month, so we are going to have a real Black history discussion with no excuses and no apologies. Let's begin today's sermon in Revelation chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 3. We couldn't do this at the beginning of the month. Y'all might have been too riled up. So I don't need you beating on your chest with all your blackness and go in and lose your job. Ain't that? So we got to do this at the end of Black History Month. Y'all might get too black on me.
Revelations chapter 4, verse 1. From whence comes wars and fightings among you?
Okay, where you at?
Oh, I'm sorry. James.
Yeah, you in another 4. I don't think you in that one.
Revelations chapter 4 and verse 1. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show you things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald.
Right, there was a rainbow over the throne. You see these colors over here? These colors are not just over here just to be here. And he that sat there was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. Do you understand what those stones look like? Those are burgundy and brownish colors. This is real deep brown red color. So this is what the he that sat on this throne looked like. So we're gonna have a real discussion here. These things are things that need to be said because, of course, all of the family Bibles that we had, they had pictures everywhere, and all of the pictures, it was a whole bunch of butt naked white people. For some reason, I mean, the white thing was one thing, but for some reason they all had to be naked. I don't understand what that was. It was only one little sheet going across, the middle part of the body, but all we ever saw. People say, well, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, then why have we always been given the same image of everybody in this book being white? When all of this stuff took place in what we know of the continent of Africa. Yet everybody that we've ever been shown on every television show has always been Caucasian. Let's go to Revelation chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 10 through 15. Now, other people can tell you their story, and they can put out documentaries on, the horrors of the things that they went through, and the numbers can keep growing. One year, it was 20,000 that got killed. The next year, it went to 40,000 that got killed. Then it went to 200,000 that got killed. Every year, it went up to how many people got killed to the point where it became more people than it was. Wait a minute, it wasn't even that many of y'all. If that's the case, it would have killed off everybody. But nobody accuses them. But every time we start talking about this, people have an issue. See, people make you feel or give you some kind of low self-esteem about your history so that you won't stand up and proclaim these things. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 10.
I was in the Spirit on the Adonai's day, and heard behind me a great voice, as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what you seeth, write in a book, and send it on to the 7 churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, and unto Smyrna, and unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me. And being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace.
Right. Now, it's going to be hard. That you understand why in all of the Bible stories, they always give us the same depiction, but then there's certain things that you will never find, okay? It's going to be hard to find a white man with black feet. There's something wrong with that guy. Now here, his feet were like fine brass, not the gold-looking brass that you're used to today, antique brass. See, it would be called antique today. It would have been modern for them. Antique brass. Think about what antique brass looked like. Gold brown. Consider. All of this stuff is in your book. And this is what the feet of him look like. Now, we're talking about in heaven. All right? Go ahead.
And his voice as the sound of many waters. That's it.
All right. Now, let's go to Genesis chapter 2. And we're going to read verse 7.
Genesis.
Now, it's sad that we would have to make a disclaimer that we are not, this is not a racist thing, but it's amazing that anytime somebody does something, whenever the so-called terrorists do something, everybody of that are Muslim, they all have to make some kind of statement denouncing what was done. Like they are connected, like every Muslim is connected. So, because somebody way over here did something, why these people at the mosque down the street got to apologize for that? It ain't had nothing to do with that. But you don't find that going across to other nationalities. You don't find white people just come up to you, I won't apologize for slavery, brother. They don't feel like they have to apologize for nothing. So why is it that we are made to believe that every time something happens, we have to come out and denounce that particular thing? See, this shows the how this power rules over us, that now we have to apologize to things that we have absolutely nothing to do with. These things happen 5,000 miles away. Go ahead, brother.
And when they make that comparison on how the Ku Klux Klan used the Bible, it discounted. It's back then, not now. We're talking about the
Exactly. It is thrown out. David Dukes, I remember him saying, one of the things that you saw in that the Book of Negroes, of how the Jewish man was into, not per se, they wouldn't show him owning slaves. Oh no. But he did have something to do with the little commerce concerning the slaves. David Dukes always said that. They got mad. He put a documentary out saying, how is it that everybody always talking about the white man and what the white man has done about slavery, but nobody mentions anything about the Jews? And they own slaves, they participated, they funded the entire thing. You never hear it spoken of. David Dukes has that on the internet right now. They sweep that right under the rug. Nothing about that is spoken of. Genesis chapter 2 and read verse 7.
And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground.
Okay, what color is dirt? Okay. I heard they got some white dirt somewhere. I just ain't never seen it. I heard they got white dirt. I mean, I'm just saying. Go ahead. Okay. But we still back to these same colors then, right? Okay, all right. Dark reddish brown. The same thing you're seeing in heaven, now you're seeing it in earth, and he's making man from this same stuff. Okay. Go ahead.
And breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
All right. Now, there's a thing called the color spectrum chart, and if you look at it, they'll give you two different versions. There's one as if you're dealing with colors on a television or a monitor, and they will show those things without black and white. They'll tell you that black and white are not colors. Then if you look at another one and deal with paints, they'll tell you, okay, well, black and white is, they're both are colors. The primary colors are these very things that you see here. Red, blue, yellow are primary colors. Now, on one end of the color spectrum, you have white. The other end of the color spectrum is black. Now, if you mix all of those colors together, you're going to get black. Now, that white on the bottom, any color you mix with it, it will become whatever color you mix with it. So, if you are making a base color or you are making something that is going to make everything else, it needs to be something that has all the colors in it. So, if you have black, you can pull all of those colors out of it, including white. If you start with white, you cannot make any other color. Am I clear? Okay.
White gets diluted.
Alrighty then. Now, let's go to I tell you what. Let's go to I wanna read this definition here. Let's go to Genesis chapter 9, and then we're gonna deal with some things here. So a lot of people like to separate certain things, but this is just on the basis Yahweh made everything. And Yahweh makes his own laws and he follows his own laws. The very things that you see, you go to Home Depot. If you want green, they're going to mix two colors together to make green. All of the paint is the same base color. All of it is white to start out with, and then they start putting all the other colors together to make that. That is the lowest part, and they start from the lowest, and they add all the other things in to make whatever color it is that you are trying to get. This is not a racist statement. This is the makeup of the color spectrum. This is the makeup of hues, which are color. So some people even say that's where we get the term human from, man of color. Hue is color. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it also shows you, like you said, your base color is white. Anything add continues to change that color.
Exactly. So it will always become whatever it's mixed with. So you put whatever in black, and it's just a different shade of black. It ain't changing nothing else. Right. Go ahead, Genesis chapter 9, and let's start this at verse 18.
And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan.
Ham was the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah from which all of the earth were derived. Go ahead.
These are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be a husband, and he planted a vineyard.
A husbandman, which is a farmer. Go ahead.
And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent.
So all of these people that tell you they have Passover with the grape juice, something wrong with them people. Noah drank wine and he got drunk. I don't care how much grape juice you drink, you ain't never gonna get tipsy. Now the wine represent this blood of Christ. So if you drinking grape juice, you drinking fake blood. And then the cracker is supposed to be a unleavened cracker because leaven is a representation of sin. So if you then eating a leavened cracker, so you got fake body and fake blood. What kind of Passover you had?
Fake one.
Go ahead.
Verse 22, Genesis chapter 9 and verse 22. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment, and laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness.
Now, this is where people will tell you that Ham was cursed, and this is where black people were cursed black. Now, this is how some people, the Mormons still teach this to this day, that black people were cursed black, and this is how black people got on the earth. Now, we already read what was on. No, you need to understand this. They're big billboards on the side of I-85 talking about come back to being a Mormon, and they running commercials. You need to understand, they are showing black people in these commercials for a reason. See, to make you feel a certain way about it, but their doctrine is you are cursed black. This is how you got that way. Yet, we just read in heaven that there's a colored man on the throne. Okay? So understand, these things I'm reading to you for a reason here. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan.
Right. So Ham wasn't the one that was cursed, his son was. Go ahead.
A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant.
Right. Canaan shall be his servant. Now, you have to look at those things and look at what ended up happening. Our people are Shemites. The people that we know as Africans are Hamites. And even that whole term, we get into these things of names. Africa was named by Caucasians. We need to first understand that. You have all of these people that say they pro-black, I'm pro-black. Mother Africa. Well, why don't you call, if you're so pro-black, why you call it by the name that white people gave it? White people gave it that name. It was not called that. Go ahead.
Verse 27. Elohim shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died.
All right, now, there's something really in that Canaan was supposed to serve Shem. And you notice in the beginning, with our people being Shemites, things went that way until we got off track. Then Yahweh switched the thing around. See, Yahweh said in Deuteronomy, it tells us if you do what you're supposed to do, then all of these things will be given unto you. When we didn't do it, our adversary was already waiting for us. When Yahweh pulled back that hedge, those people said, man, I remember what y'all did to our folks. Right. Go to 10 and verse 1.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood.
All right, jump to verse 6.
And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan.
All right, so the definition, if we look in Strong's and we look up Ham, it is H2526, and it says hot, from the tropical habitat. Ham, a son of Noah. Let me read to you the note that they have in here. Ham signifies burnt or black. This is why his name meant hot. And it was significant to the regions allotted to his family, to the Cushites, or descendants of Cush, were allotted the hot southern regions of Asia and the shores of the Persian Gulf. So, keep going.
And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Ramah, and Sabteca, and the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan.
All right. So then we have Cush, which is H3568, and it is, or as we would know it, Ethiopia. So the Cushites are Ethiopians. And they're also a descendant of Ham. So then we have these people. Then you have, let's also go to Mizraim in verse 6. If we go to that number in Strong's is H4693. Of course, H meaning Hebrew. And it is Upper and Lower Egypt. So what they call Egypt is Mizraim. All of these are descendants of Ham, and Ham means burnt or black. So we're putting together a little equation here, and you have to be able to follow that. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 8. Genesis chapter 10 and verse 8. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
Now, Cush begot Nimrod. We've always been shown this whole thing of Nimrod, and because he did something great in the earth, of course, he's always depicted as being white. He comes from burnt-faced people. Go ahead.
He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before Yahweh. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel.
So here, even in the things that people mimic in Babylon, with all of these monuments, the Washington Monument, this was a phallic symbol. We can find that same phallic symbol in Egypt. Wait a minute. Then we can also find these same people in Egypt. Understand, we're talking about Cush, we're talking about Hamites, we're talking about them being the one to build this great tower. Now we have every setup that they're trying to mimic what these people did. Go ahead.
And Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
In the land of Shinar. So even the first Babel began with Ham, not the Euro-Gentiles. Go ahead.
Out of that land went forth Ashur, and built Nineveh, and the city of Rehoboth, and Calah. And reason between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city.
All right, let's go to Acts chapter 21. Now, Genesis chapter 10 gives you a lot of the breakdown of who all of those various nations come from. We're not going to go into all of that, but Genesis 10 does give you that breakdown. And if you have a study Bible, it mentions it right at the bottom of the page. It tells you who all of these people are. We know that the Apostle Paul was sent unto the Gentiles. And of course, we have been told that there's only two kinds of people, Jew and Gentile. So if you're not a Jew, you must be a Gentile. Paul only went to Europe and Asia Minor. He was the apostle of the Euro-Gentile. You didn't find him going to Africa, did you? Right, because ain't no Gentiles in there. Right. Acts chapter 21, and let's read verses 37 and 38.
And as Saul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto you? Who said, Can you speak Greek? Are you not that Egyptian, which before these days madeth an uproar, and leddeth out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers?
Okay, so let's read this in Egypt is Mizraim. Mizraim is of descendants of Ham, which means burnt face. So let's read this. Are not you that burnt face who stirred up a rebellion? Right. So you now see the Apostle Paul being mistaken for an Egyptian. All right. This picture's starting to come together, right? Okay. Did you finish that?
Yes.
All right. Now let's go to Matthew chapter 2. So this is why you want to look up certain words, because you know, there can be a nice little play on words to throw you off. I mean, consider just changing the Messiah's name to Jesus in this book was a very, very good throw off of what we were supposed to be on. All of these Middle Eastern names, these names have meaning. Jesus doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have a definition. All Middle Eastern names have a definition. Matthew chapter 2, and let's read verses 12 through 20.
Verse 12. And being warned of Elohim in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Adonai appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be you there until I bring you word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
Right, so Herod is looking for some children of a certain age, boys, to kill them. Go ahead.
When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Adonai by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding angry, and set forth, and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men.
Right. So, it was told to Joseph to go and hide this baby among the burnt-faced people, because he is looking for a little burnt-faced baby to slay. So, how do you hide a white boy with blue eyes in the middle of some burnt-faced people? That ought to be easy to find. Hey, y'all seen a little white boy with blue eyes? Yeah, he right down the street. Go down that corner. He gonna run right into his tent. You know how you gonna hide? That don't make no sense. You know how easy that would have been to find him? Right. But they were able to blend in amongst the other burnt-faced people. Right. Go ahead. Finish that up.
Verse 17. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, In Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping, and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they are not. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Adonai appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life.
All right. Let's go to Romans chapter 9. Romans chapter 9, and we're going to read verses 1 through 4. And we're going to read some things that Saul, the Apostle Paul, we're going to read some things that he had to say.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 1. I say the truth in the Mashiach, I lie not, my conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Ghost, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from the Mashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh.
According to the flesh, we are the same. Go ahead.
Who are Israelites?
Now, according to the flesh, they are the same. Now, Christ is the same as he is, being an Israelite. his other brothers of the apostles were the same according to the flesh, who are Israelites, and they also mistook Saul for an Egyptian. So what does the rest of them look like? Okay, keep reading.
Verse 4, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of Elohim, and the promises.
All right, let's go to Genesis chapter 42. And if you didn't know, the title of today's sermon is The Blacking Out of Our History. The blacking out of our history. Genesis chapter 42 and verses 6 through 8. See, this way you're going to have all of these things in one place in your notes that you don't have to run around everywhere to try to figure out where it is, but you have these things that we don't have to wait until somebody designates for us that this is Black History Month. Even the whole term that black is not a nationality, that's a color. That doesn't tell you. The fact that you call yourself black automatically says that you don't know anything. When people ask, what are you? You black? You don't know jack. Right. Black is not. You ever heard of a white person say, I'm white? They ask them if they're American. They ask them something else. They don't answer to a color. You ever heard Ethiopians answer to a color? You ever heard anybody else answer to a color? Why would you answer to a color? That is not a nationality. You ever heard somebody? No, I'm brown, brother. I'm brown. That's right. Yeah, that's right, brother. Proud to be brown. What? Go ahead.
You know, it goes back to what you were saying earlier when we read about, you know, what the Mormons thinks of you know, the nation, us being black and being cursed.
Mm-hmm.
So you think about it, you check that box black. It's like you saying you are the cursed.
Right. And they also have a different set of laws for black people. I don't know if y'all know that or not. There's a whole lot of things that I wish I'd had checked different. Once, but hey, you when you know better, you do better. But let me tell you something. Depending on how you check that box, there's a whole lot of things that they can and cannot do to you based upon how you check that box. That box look like it means nothing, but that box means a whole lot more than you think it means. There are laws that are only on the books for you, for black people. They don't have those laws for everybody else. Go ahead, brother.
You know, brother, just to add to what my brother's saying, the only thing black is our knowledge of self. I mean, because even on what you're saying, you know, a white person don't classify themselves as being white. Even with our Hispanic brothers, if you call them a Cuban, he gonna tell you, no, I'm a Dominican.
Oh yeah, he's gonna definitely tell you a nationality. He's not gonna tell you a color. You call it a Japanese, Chinese, or vice versa. He gonna be ready to do some karate on you or something. he not gonna like that at all. You know, he gonna feel you have disrespected me, brother. You know, he's not gonna be happy about that. But we accept anything.
We've accepted a color and a whole continent.
Right. But understand, to be caught, we're gonna get there. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 42 and verse 6. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth.
Right, they're bowing down to their own brother, but they don't recognize him. Go ahead.
And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come you? And they said, From the land of Canaan, to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamt of them, and said unto them.
Now, they don't recognize him, but he recognizes them. Now let's back up. Let's go to chapter 41, and let's read verses 39 through 45. So this here is setting the only difference is in the appearance. So they don't recognize him as being their brother, the Hebrew. They think that he's an Egyptian. All right? Which Egypt is Mizraim, which goes to Ham, which means hot or burnt. Okay? So, understand that. All right, verse 39.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Forasmuch as Elohim hath showed you all this, there's none so discreet and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and according unto my word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than you. Verse 40 again. You shall be over my house, and according unto your word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt.
Right, so now he has power, but he's still a Hebrew, but he has power in Egypt. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it up on Joseph's hand,
So he got a ring,
and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen,
so he got fine linen,
and put a gold chain about his neck.
and he got a gold chain. Go ahead.
And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had.
Uh-huh.
And they cried before him, Bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt.
So the only physical difference is his clothing and chariot. But they don't recognize him as being a Hebrew. So you start to understand why our people would constantly walk down into Egypt. They're in certain circles. I've heard people ask my son if he was Ethiopian. So what you ask me that for? There's some of the people that you will see out of Ethiopia, and you wonder, wait a minute, man, because you know there's a lot of getting caught in between them areas going back and forth. You have the Falasha, which are Jews that have been children of Yehuda, who have been afraid to say who they are because they get all kind of attacks in Ethiopia by saying that they are Hebrews. So they are afraid to say that they are Hebrews. So if you ask one of those Ethiopians, and some of them look just like you and I, and you say, hey, man, you Falasha? Man, they'll look at you for their answer. They might not answer that right in the open. And they'll look. But they want to know who gonna hear that. They've been persecuted because of that. Even the people that they flew back from Ethiopia and sent them to Israel, they had to convert to Judaism. When they got there, they said, man, I ain't never heard of a white Jew. They said, I ain't never seen such a thing. They said, and how I'm going to convert to what I already am. Right. Right. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 41 and verse 44. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without you shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephnath-Paaneah.
All right. Now let's go to Job chapter 30. So we see that they did not recognize him, and the only difference is that he had clothing that was different. Remember Michael Jackson did the video with Eddie Murphy in it?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing was the Egyptian thing, and they were all black. What, remember the time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, see, you have to know the difference between ancient Egyptians and the people who have moved there and calling themselves Egyptians. Those people are not Egyptians. Understand that. Now, they're putting chemicals on the walls so they can lighten up the faces of the pictures on the pyramid. Because people are obviously looking like, wait a minute, man, them chocolate people up there, who y'all? Now they say, well, we're going to restore the pyramid. Right. So they're going in there putting all them chemicals on them so they can make the people light skinned. Right. So they can keep on telling that lie. Job chapter 30. And let's read verse 30.
My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burnt with heat.
Now, burnt with heat. No matter how much heat you put on a Caucasian, he will not turn black. He might turn brown for a second, and then he gets fire red. So for somebody to tell you that their people were slaves in Egypt and they worked in that hot sun, understand, the whole region is this hot area, and they worked constantly in this sun day after day, year after year. We know that to be false. We've seen people come back from vacation and their skin fire red because they've gotten sunburn. We know this. So talking about years, decades, generations of this, we know that that's not possible. All right, let's go to Lamentation chapter 5, and we're going to read verses 1 through 10. Lamentation right after Jeremiah, chapter 5, and verses 1 through 10.
Lamentations chapter 5 and verse 1. Remember, O Yahweh, what has come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. We have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us.
Right. Our inheritance has been turned over into aliens. We don't even live in our land. Somebody else has taken over. And see, these are the things that, it plagues people, and they say, well, how you gonna be the children of Israel and there's somebody already over there calling themselves the children of Israel? Go ahead.
Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest. We have given the hand to the Egyptians and to the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. Servants have ruled over us. There's none that does deliver us out of their hand. We gat our bread with the peril of our lives because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin was black like unto an oven because of the terrible famine.
Because of the terrible famine. Now, this is why you have to watch some of these translations, because they will take certain words out, because certain Bibles don't say black right there. They took the black out. So, there's a reason there, but we're going to get into a little bit more trickery here. Let's go to Song of Solomon, chapter 1. See, people have gone through great lengths to hide your people from you in this book. But we have to remember what we were told. We were told to study to show ourselves approved. So if we do those things, then we start running into some things that make us back up and check out a few things. So Song of Solomon, chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 5 and 6.
I am black, but comely.
Now, this is the Shulamite girl that is talking, which when you back and look that up, you find out that this is a woman of Israel. And she is saying, I am black, but lovely. Now, she is from Israel, she is an Israelite, and she says, I'm black but lovely. Now, that is not the biggest part. Keep reading, and she's finna tell you how she got to be black. Keep reading.
All you daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar.
Right. So, when we look up Kedar, it is H6938. Kedar means dusky. What does dusk look like?
Dark.
Okay. So Kedar was some black people. They was black. They was used all black. All right. So dusky, and this is the definition of the skin or the tint. Kedar, a son of Ishmael, also Bedouin. So when we look back to who Ishmael was the son of Abraham and who?
Hagar.
And Hagar was a what?
Egyptian.
Egyptian. And Egyptian, what's the
Mizraim.
Mizraim, which come from
Ham.
Ham, which means what?
Burnt.
Burnt face. There we go. Y'all working with me. Y'all. That's all right. A little slow, but we gonna get there. We gonna get there. Go ahead, bro.
You know, brother, if we can recall the old movies with the of those Arabians, when you saw those tents were black.
Now, when you go down to the word that, because you know, when dealing with etymology, they give you a word, and then where the word comes from, it gives you another thing here on Kedar. The first one was 6938. When you go to the other one, H6937, it says a primitive root to be ashy, that is dark colored. Y'all ain't ready for the day. Y'all ain't ready. It's too black for you, ain't it? It's too black. Hey, some of y'all might need to take a vacation day Monday, because I don't want, don't be calling. Sorry, I ain't got no job because I went and I was extra black. No. You can keep your job. You go in there and shut your mouth. Don't be going there trying to tell your boss how black you is. You know what? I'm ashy black. No, don't be doing. No. Don't blame it on me. Go ahead, brother. Did you finish that up?
As the curtains of Solomon, verse 6. Look not upon me, because I am black, because the sun had looked upon me.
So the sun has looked upon me, which has made her darker. Ain't nobody else getting dark because of the sun. Now, keep going.
My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but mine own vineyard have I not kept.
Working out in that sun made her darker because she was in it constantly. Now, this is a woman of Israel dealing with Solomon. Go ahead, brother. You had something?
I was just going to say, we know in those times they had no sunblock.
Hey, nah, bro. No. If you want to block for the sun and you had a big leaf over your head or something, there ain't no sunblock. You got that, brother. Now, let's go to Songs of Solomon chapter 5. Now we're going to see a little bit of trickery right here. We're going to see a little bit of trickery. See, this right here, this will throw you off if you ain't ready for it. This right here, this one right here, this will send you back to the drawing board. You don't know what to do with this one. Song of Solomon chapter 5, and let's read verses 10 through 11. Now this is the Shulamite talking about Solomon. Now we know him to be an Israelite. We've already established what the Israelites look like. We've already established all of those things. But look at what she says about him. Start verse 10.
That was chapter 5 and verse 10.
Yep, chapter 5, verse 10.
My beloved is white and ruddy, the chiefest among 10,000.
Now this right here is to throw y'all, wait a minute. We done talked about all these black people. Now he said Solomon is white and ruddy. Now, how in the world we gonna deal with white and ruddy? Okay. Now, you got to back up and look in Strong's and look at the Hebrew word that was used there. It was H6703. Now, the definition of H6703, the word is tsak. Now, it means dazzling or bright. So they took dazzling and bright and made it white. You gotta love that. That was a good. Hey, that was good. That was good. So they took bright and made it white. So he's white. He's not dazzling and bright. He white. Now, as you read the rest of it, ruddy, reddish brown.
Mm-hmm.
See, if you think about it, it make no sense. How you gonna be white and ruddy? Hey, but that's only if you study to show yourself approved. Because if you are not backing up to start looking up them words, white and ruddy throws you off. So if you were, because see, they knew when they were translating it, ain't no way we can get around this woman being black and you know, because the sun. But you know, we can find a way we can throw him off with this Solomon thing. We can make him white. We can make him white. So they took dazzling bright, changed it into white. Then the ruddy was describing him, which we back up, and every last one of them had the same description. Reddish brown. All right, keep reading.
His head is as the most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven.
Stop. Just stop it. So he got bushy locks. So then that's hair. Bushy hair. People have told you that there's something wrong with your hair. You need to put a perm in it. See? You got that bushy stuff. Right. This was what was given to our people. This is what you were supposed to have. But people giving you low self-esteem, you done put a perm in it. Hey, I wasn't no better. I had a perm when I was little. What they call that back in the day, Mom? Conk. Ain't that what they call it? Mother Barbara, you remember that? Put that conk in my head, but you couldn't tell what Malcolm X said when he put it in. Smooth, just like the white folk. Yeah. Yeah, I had finger waves in my head and everything. If anybody can find one of them pictures, I will pay you to burn it. Hey, that right there, that is nothing funny. But so you understand some things here. So dazzling bright, what was given to us was the word white. That was some slick trickery there. Now let's go to the prophet Joel, chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8. Joel, chapter 3. And verses 1 through 8.
Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Yehuda and Jerusalem.
Now, bring again means cause to cease. When I bring again the captivity, this is cause the captivity to cease. So then we're talking about the restoration of the children of Israel and righteous judgment to the Euro-Gentiles. Go ahead. But see, if the Euro-Gentiles can cloud you from there being any difference between what the Jews look like and what the Gentiles look like, then now you're confused about who gets restored and who faces judgment. Go ahead.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel.
Right. I will plead with them for my heritage and my people. So this is where the children of Israel then become restored. See, this is why you don't want to skip parts of the process. There are some things that has to happen. Go ahead.
Whom they have scattered among the nations.
They have scattered among the nations. See, this is why he's inviting all the nations, because all the nations played a part in scattering the children of Israel all across the globe. Now, the people who call themselves Jews, you have to ask them, how and when were you ever scattered across the four corners of the globe? Now, that's one thing that you saw in this so-called book of Negroes, is what? The people being scattered across the earth in these ships. And we know those that were running that was the Spanish, Portuguese, and Dutch. Negro is a Spanish word for black. That's all Negro means. If you ain't careful, you listen to some Spanish people talking and you'll get pissed off. What you say? What you say? What you say? No, you talking about me, ain't you? No, man. That just mean black. Calm down. They got a beer called Modelo Negro. I saw it in the store. I was like, what? Modelo Negro. I said, man, I got to buy this black beer. I got to get that. I don't even drink beer. I had to pour it out by Passover, but I got it one time. Go ahead.
And parted my land, verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine.
Right. The very trinkets that our people were sold for. Now ask the people who call themselves the Jews, how and when has this ever happened to you? See, we allow people we get diverted because this story that is told of us of the Holocaust, and it is so horrible, and they were made to get these tattoos and all of these horrible, that not taking away, that was a horrific event. That's all fine and dandy. Problem is, I can't find that event in this book. And I can't find that event in the very part of the book that you say you believe in. Genesis, Leviticus, Numbers, Exodus, and Deuteronomy. I can't find that event in there. But the things that have happened to me, I can find them in this book. So now we have a conflict here. See, this is why he says he's going to plead for his heritage. So somewhere there's something wrong. And we've already read about people being in the land who were not the children of Israel. So these things started long ago. Go ahead.
That they might drink. Joel chapter 3 and verse 4. Yes, and what have I to do with you? And what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine?
Right. Tyre and Zidon, you back up and look at who they are. We go back to Genesis 10, and we'll find that they would be what we call Africans. So, once again, as we look at all of the documentaries concerning our people, we find that Africans were selling our people to the Euro Gentiles. Now keep reading.
Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Yehuda and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians.
Right. So where can any other nationality, any other group of people say that they were sold by Africans to Grecians, which are Caucasians? This is how all of the documentaries start off. The Africans selling you to the Euro Gentiles. So these are prophecies. How is it that we have allowed these people to take authority that they don't have? They can't show these things in their history. We can go in our kids' history book and find these. Now, how is it they can't produce any of that? See, you're diverted by the sad stories that have been told to you. And then you take that sympathy thing, and then all of a sudden, you don't look at facts anymore. You have allowed sympathy to get you to feel sorry. That's all fine and dandy. But let's just deal with the facts here. Where have you been sold for trinkets by Africans to Gentiles? Right, you can't produce that, but I can. Go ahead.
That you might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them.
I will raise them, not they will raise themselves. Just saying. Go ahead.
And will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Yehuda.
Righteous judgment. You don't have to do. Let me tell you something. Everybody who has done something to me, all I have to do is sit back and wait. Yahweh take care of that business. I take care of Yahweh business and he take care of mine. Folks do something against me, I just sit there and I'll wait, and then they be the very ones that come up and tell you, man, I'm having all kind of trouble, man. I don't know, man, my leg, it just don't work no more. Really? I ain't touch them. I ain't do nothing to them. Sometimes the very things they did to me end up happening to them. But that comes in Yahweh's own time. Vengeance belongs to Yahweh. If you tried to take it, you wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. You do it all wrong. Let Yahweh do his job. You don't know nothing about vengeance. Yahweh knows some things about people that people hiding from you. You don't even know where to touch them at. Yahweh know exactly where to touch them at. Yahweh gonna take care of that business. You take care of Yahweh's business, he will take care of yours. When you try to take care of Yahweh's business, you finna get yourself in trouble, and you may get the other person free. It says that when the judgment comes on another person for something that they've done unto you, Yahweh says, don't laugh, lest he see your laughter and remove away from that person. So now because you decided to, now Yahweh said, oh, I'm done then. Wait a minute, no, finish whipping him. No. You laugh. Now you seeking joy in it. Their judgment is now done because you put your hand in it. You don't laugh. You don't put your hand in it. You sit back and you watch. That's what you do. Keep your eyes open and your mouth shut. And watch Yahweh work. Go ahead.
And they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to a people far off, for Yahweh hath spoken it.
All right. Let's go to Revelation chapter 3. Revelation chapter 3, and we are going to read verses 9 through 10. I know we're doing a lot of turning today, but it's necessary.
Revelations chapter 3 and verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you.
Right. But see, what they do is trick us into believing that they have authority, so we go and worship before their feet. They don't have no authority for you to be going to worship before them. They don't have no authority. They're just tricking you that they have some authority. Synagogues of Satan. Go ahead.
Because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep you from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Right, to try them that dwell upon the earth. This is why you have whole worship groups who believe that they are going to be raptured up. And the reason why they have to tell that story is because they want to avoid righteous judgment. So they have to be raptured up so that they will miss all of these things that are going on earth. So this is why everybody out of zip tang go to heaven. They want to miss judgment. But ain't no missing judgment. You're going to face that judgment one way or another. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 17. It says he going to bring out the dead that are in the ground. He going to pull out all the dead that are in the sea. So all the people that burnt themselves up and spread their ashes all over the water, he going to pick every last bit of them up and bring them back for judgment. So people can feel however they want to feel. But at the end of the day, it's not about what you think, what you feel, and what you believe. It's about what Yahweh has decreed. And because we don't study to show ourselves approved, then we allow other people to give us a low self-esteem by things that they don't understand. So then they accuse you of being in a cult. And they don't understand the things that they're doing. But because they don't understand what you are doing, they give you the accusation. That's why you need to have these notes. That's why you need to have these things. You need to make you a notebook of every last one of these trivia questions. And you need to put them in there and keep them. And these things could be your how you bring in the Sabbath. Start asking one another the very questions from the old trivia questions. Because the heathen is going to put you on the spot and make you prove the truth. They don't feel like they have to prove the truth. Because they have so many people telling the same lie. They don't feel like they have to prove what they believe in. You ask a Baptist, why are you a Baptist and not an Episcopal? They don't know. Okay, so what's the difference between a Baptist and an Episcopal? They don't know. Why are you a Lutheran? They don't know. But they don't feel obligated to answer. But they make you feel obligated to prove what you believe. Well, you're getting the tools to do it. 2 Kings chapter 17. And let's read verses 19 through 41.
Verse 19. Also Yehudah kept not the commandments of Yahweh their Elohim, but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made. And Yahweh rejected all the seed of Israel, and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight.
Right. So, we go back to the things that were said. If you follow what you have been given, then these things will happen to you in the right manner. If you don't, then these are the things that you shall receive. Go ahead.
For he rent Israel from the house of Dawid, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following Yahweh, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them, until Yahweh removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets.
As he had said by all his servants the prophets, that he would remove the children of Israel if they continued walking the way that they were walking. Go ahead.
So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cuthath, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel.
So the children of Israel were removed out of the land, and people of Babylon were placed in the land. Go ahead.
And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there, that they feared not Yahweh. Therefore Yahweh sent lions among them, which slew some of them.
Right. So they didn't know the way of the land, and the land rebelled. Go ahead.
Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, The nations which you have removed, and placed in the cities of Samaria, know not the manner of the Elohim of the land.
So they didn't know the custom. They didn't know the customs of Israel. So now you have strange people living in the land, but they don't know the customs of Israel. Keep reading.
Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and, behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the Elohim of the land.
Right. They don't know the customs of Israel. Go ahead.
Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, Carry thither one of the priests whom you brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there, and let him teach them the manner of the Elohim of the land.
Right. And people want to know, they hear these people saying, well, they know all of these things, so they must be true priests of Yahweh. Right. Now we see how these fake priests start to get in the land, and now they, keep in mind, now they worship other gods, but they need to do enough so that Yahweh won't kill them off. Now keep in mind some of the things that you have today. You have people that say, okay, they believe in the Torah, but then they wrote another book. And then another book. Now they got an oral interpretation of the law. Now they got another thing that's, oh, it's just like the law. It's almost as if Yahweh said it himself. Yet it's men that wrote whatever they thought about this, that, and the third. Now, consider that. All right, read.
Verse 28. Then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear Yahweh.
Right. So they went and got another priest so he could teach them. Go ahead.
Howbeit every nation made gods of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt.
Right. Go ahead.
And the men of Babylon made Succoth-Benoth, and the men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima, and the Ivites made Nibhaz and Tartek, and the Sepharvites burnt their children in the fire to Adrammelech and Anamelech, the gods of the Sepharvaims. So they feared Yahweh, and made unto themselves of the lowest of them priests of the high places.
Right. So they took the lowest men available and made them priests so they would be priests in both sorts. Do just enough so that Yahweh won't destroy us out of this land, but we're going to still do the paganism of the things that we worship before. And even when you get this whole so-called Star of David, we read in here that this was this God of this star of your God, Remphan. Right. See? And yet we give all of this credit to people, and we can go right in this book and find out where people start coming into this land having a little bit of knowledge of what our custom was, but they got it from us. Go ahead.
Which sacrificed for them in the house of the high places. Verse 33. 2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 33. They feared Yahweh and served their own gods, after the manner of the nations whom they carried away from thence. Unto this day they do after their former manners. They fear not Yahweh, neither do they after their statutes, or after their ordinances, or after the law and commandment which Yahweh commanded the children of Jacob, whom he named Israel.
Right. They don't follow the commandments. You should read what's in some of that oral law. Why do you think it's this book says it's one law for the stranger as well for the children of Israel? What the oral law say is they can treat anybody who's not Israel any old kind of way. Yahweh said, be careful how you treat the stranger because you are a stranger in Egypt. Yet they say they can treat you anyway because to them you a Gentile, so they can treat you any old kind of way and it does not matter what they do to you. I mean, that made up law is so sick and twisted. If you read some of the stuff, you'd be like, you can do what? I'm not even going to mention some of it. There's kids in here. Go ahead.
Verse 35. With whom Yahweh had made a covenant and charged them, saying, you shall not fear other gods, nor bow yourselves to them, nor serve them, nor sacrifice to them. But Yahweh, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt with great power and stretched out arm, him shall you fear, and him shall you worship, and to him shall you do sacrifice. And the statutes, and the ordinances, and the law, and the commandments, which he wrote for you, you shall observe to do forevermore, and you shall not fear other gods.
Right. It says, be careful that you do not take anything out of this law, and be careful that you do not add unto this law. If you write a whole book that is supposed to be oral law, you just add it to it. Go ahead.
And the covenant that I have made with you, you shall not forget, neither shall you fear other gods. But Yahweh your Elohim you shall fear, and he shall deliver you out of the hand of all your enemies. Howbeit they did not hearken, but they did after their former manner. So these nations feared Yahweh and served their graven images.
Right. Go ahead.
Both their children and their children's children, as did their fathers, so do they unto this day.
Right. And this is why it is written that it's going to be a time when they say, our fathers have inherited lies. Right, because they've taught these things and handed them down from generation to generation. but this is part of our punishment, that these things were handed down from generation to generation. I want you to read, let's go to Esther chapter 8, because this is something that you need in your notes. We're just going to read this one verse. Esther chapter 8. Because you need to know that this happened, and that how some things got to be. So we already see people moving the land. Then they were taught the ways. Then they even had false priests. So when you have people that are saying we can directly line our family being in the priesthood so many years ago, right? And I can go in this book and show you where the false priest got there. I can show you where your fake daddy got in there. See, you need to know that when they get ready to tell you how many generations their people have gotten that, you need to know, well, I can show you the generation where your little fake daddies got in there. There you go, right here. Right. Let's read Esther chapter 8 and verse 17.
And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews.
That's your point. Right there, because of the power that was given at that particular time against the persecution, and it turned around on the people who were trying to persecute the children of Yehuda. Once that thing did not go forward, all the other people became Jews. They were not children of Yehuda by lineage. They changed themselves. All right. For the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. So now you can go to where false priests got in the land. You can go to where people came into the land that were not of the children of Israel. And you can show where people then became proselytes. And now they called themselves Jews, and they Gentiles. This is why you have people who are calling other Hebrews telling you that the Esau, the Edomites, are white. No, them proselytes. See, what you have is a mix of Edomites and proselytes. So then people believe that, Edom, must be these white people. No. Those are proselytes. Those are people who converted. That's what you have there. So you have to be able to know, because what we do, or what some Hebrews do, is throw them all in one big pot. And because they see them looking Caucasian, they then say that Edom is a Caucasian, and he's not. So you have two different groups of people that are intermingling as one. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And let's start that at verse 1.
And it shall come to pass, if you shall not hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to observe and to do all his commandments which I have commanded you this day, that Yahweh your Elohim will set you on high above all nations of the earth.
If you do what you are supposed to do, then Yahweh will give protection unto the children of Israel. Now, we know that this did not happen. So if we know that this, you have to consider some things. When most of the people talk about proving who the so-called Jews are, they say, well, obviously those people must be the children of Israel. Look at all the blessings that they have. You have to understand, this is the only part that most people want to deal with. They only want to deal with the blessings. They do not want to talk about the curses at all. Now, we've already read that all of these things are going to happen to restore the children of Israel back to the place of their inheritance. So then we know that Israel didn't do what they were supposed to do. So you cannot deal with the blessings without dealing with the curses. And that there's a reason why they don't want to deal with the curses, because in the curses they cannot prove their existence. They have to talk about the blessings and then show you all their money. See this? Yeah, I'm blessed in my store. You see that? You see that? You see that? All right, let's keep reading. No, I ain't got time. Right. Let's read the whole chapter. But we can't read the whole chapter, because then it's going to get to some things that's going to pull out and that you're going to have to examine. But we allow people to give us low self-esteem about our history. Go ahead.
Verse 2, Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 2. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you, if you shall hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall you be in the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, the increase of your kind, and the flocks of your sheep. Blessed shall be your basket and your store. Blessed shall you be when you cometh in, and blessed shall you be when you goeth out. Yahweh shall cause your enemies that rise up against you to be smitten before your face. They shall come out against you one way, and flee before you 7 ways. Yahweh shall command the blessing upon you in your storehouses, and in all that you setteth your hand unto, and he shall bless you in the land which Yahweh your Elohim giveth you. Yahweh shall establish you an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto you, if you shall keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, and walk in his ways. And all the people of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of Yahweh, and they shall be afraid of you. And Yahweh shall make you plenteous in goods, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your ground, in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers to give you.
Now, it says that all the people of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of Yahweh. Understand that the name that he gave Jacob was Israel. Understand who that is. Yeshua was the bodily form, and upon that baptism, there was a spirit that rested, that came in the bodily shape of a dove and rested upon him. That was Israel, and Yahweh said, "This is my son in whom I am well pleased." This is why we are called Israelites. We are not called Yahwehites. He did not even give that name. They were already a nation by the time he told them that his name was Yahweh. See, you dealing through the Son. This is why the Son, understand, it says, let us make man. Who is us? See, everybody think they're dealing with Yahweh directly. You don't deal with the CEO, man. All you do is see his name on your check. You don't get to talk to him. No, you talk to somebody else who talked to somebody else who talked to him. You don't get to talk to him. This is the confusion when people see Yahweh. They think they're dealing directly with him. No. You know, you're dealing with an angel who has the authority to speak in his name. You're not dealing directly with him. So this is why you have so many people that call themselves Yahasharel. Because see, they're going to take Yah. Once he says his name is Yah. Now, they're already a whole nation now. Because they are getting ready to come out of Egypt. He says, who shall I tell them sent me? Well, when they ask me, what's your name? Tell them I am have sent you. So then he tells them Yah. Before that, all they know is El Shaddai. So all of the names that you find in this Bible are all have El, Ezekiel, all of these things. After that point, then they start ending in Yah, because now they're naming their kids after Yah. But not before that. But now you have some super smart Israelites. They're going to take Yah and push it all the way back to the beginning, even though they didn't know that then. So now they Yahasharel. And that end in El. El means God. Who the hell is El? So first they're going to put Yah in it that was not known. Then it end in El. You look in this book, it'll tell you El, Israel. It is a holy name. It has El in it. This is why we have to be careful how we carry the name. But see, they want to be holier than that. See, they being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness and going about to establish their own, they're going to pick a more holy. We're going to get something even holier than Israel. Right. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 12. Yahweh shall open unto you his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto your land in his season, and to bless all the works of your hand. And you shall lend unto many nations, and you shall not borrow. And Yahweh shall make you the head and not the tail, and you shall be above only, and you shall not be beneath, if that you hearken unto the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim.
Right. And every time, in every church service we've ever gone to, none of those people talk to us about the commandments. And these are the very things that were told unto us. If we do these things, then good things shall happen to us. And these are the things that we hear of the least. Nobody talks about the commandments. Go ahead.
Which I command you this day to observe and to do them. And you shall not go aside from any of the words which I command you this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. But it shall come to pass, if you will not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command you this day, that all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you.
Right. And we see that we already have read the prophecies, some of them, that Israel will have to be restored. So we know that these curses then have taken place upon the children of Israel. So then we can go through these curses, and if we are the children of Israel, we should be able to pick these things out in our history. And if anybody else claims to be the children of Israel, then they should be able to pick these things out of their history. See, you got to be careful. You got a lot of these brothers, especially up north brothers. They have a lot of Mexicans and, you know, a lot of Hispanics around there. Now, there are a lot of people of our people that were shipped to South America. Okay? They are Israel. But you have brothers like them Spanish girls. Brothers like them Spanish girls. So what they say, all of them, they Israel. They Israel. Because brothers they want them Spanish girls. So they say all of them is Israel, so that gives them an opportunity to date all of those people. And it also makes their congregation larger when they start including these people. So when you look at their little so-called 12 tribes chart, everybody in the whole world is Israel. They got Chinese people, one tribe. They got these people. Before you know it, the whole world is Israel. Who's going to be left for you to rule over if all of y'all is Israel? So if they claim to be Israel, then that means they should be able to find some of these things in their history. Keep reading.
Verse 16. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your store. Cursed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your land, the increase of your kind, and the flocks of your sheep.
What it says, cursed is every man that hangs on a tree. Right. We've had to live through that. Go ahead.
Cursed shall you be when you cometh in, and cursed shall you be when you goeth out. Yahweh shall send upon you cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that you setteth your hand unto for to do, until you be destroyed, and until you perish quickly, because of the wickedness of your doings, whereby you have forsaken me. Yahweh shall make the pestilence cleave unto you, until he have consumed you from off the land, whether you go to possess it. Yahweh shall smite you with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue you until you perish.
Right. When you get down to any sickness, all of the sickness seems to happen to us more than anybody else. Go ahead.
And your heaven that is over your head shall be brass, and the earth that is under you shall be iron.
Right. We work harder than anybody else in this country. We work and work and work and work. Go ahead.
You know, even to add to that, when he said the heaven that is over your head shall be brass, what's the joke they said? There's that glass ceiling for us?
Right. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 24. Yahweh shall make the rain of your land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon you until you be destroyed. Yahweh shall cause you to be smitten before your enemies. You shall go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them.
Meaning Yahweh has taken your power. And we see that we have no power in this land whatsoever. One of the reasons our people will not discuss slavery, because it puzzles us how a small number of people was able to come and subdue such a large amount of us. That messes with our mental. Right. Yahweh removed the hedge. You didn't have no power. You didn't deal with what you were supposed to do right in these commandments, and Yahweh took our power. No one would have ever been able to touch us. Go ahead.
And shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
Removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. So anybody who's claiming that they are the true children of Israel, they should be able to show some form of dispersion of their people. Not voluntarily. Now you can show me. You see this? There go my ticket right here. No, we ain't get no tickets. Go ahead.
And your carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air.
When they hung us on those trees, they left us there as an example unto all the other ones, and the birds came and picked at their flesh. The same way you see a dead animal on the street, the birds come and start eating the animal. They left us hanging on the trees. They have pictures with little kids standing right by the feet of dangling slaves, the feet, and they smiling. And his feet dangling right above them. Right. Go ahead.
And unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. Yahweh shall smite you with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof you cannot be healed.
Right. Remember that, what was that thing, that Miss Evers boys, where they let them poor people get syphilis, and their cure was in the cabinet. Garlic and vinegar put together makes penicillin. You let it sit. It makes penicillin itself. They were trying to get penicillin and couldn't get it. Some of them enlisted to go in the army just to try to get a penicillin shot. They were letting our people they were experimenting on our people, letting them get syphilis, letting them, letting their eyesight go, let all of these things happen to them. All the while, the cure is in the cabinet. Then when they found out that some of them jumped in the military and got that shot, they then put them all on a no enlist sheet. So when some of them who ended up with the syphilis tried to go in the military because they found out, hey, this dude got a shot and he better. So they tried to go in and no. We can't let you come in. Why not? Because they experimenting on them. Right. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 28. Yahweh shall smite you with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And you shall grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness. And you shall not prosper in your ways. And you shall be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save you. You shall betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
Didn't we see that in the book of Negro? Said he married a woman, so they did the whole, the jumping the broom thing, because they ain't got nothing to give one another. But that didn't mean nothing to that man. So hey, man, say I on you, so I'm gonna lie with you. You become betrothed unto a woman to marry her, but then another man can lie with her. Matter of fact, then the slave master say, yeah, you married to her, but I think him and her will make a better slave children. So I want him to be with your wife. Right. Have any of these other people who call themselves Israel, have they even discussed any of that? Have they even tried to pretend like they can produce this? And we haven't asked them either. Go ahead.
You shall build an house, and you shall not dwell therein.
Hey, black folk built the White House. That's why folk got so happy when Obama got his finest black person in the White House. Obama said, I'm not a descendant of slaves. He said, my wife's people were descendants of slaves. Obama's a real African American. You are not an African American. Obama is an African American. He said point blank, I ain't the same as y'all. My wife now, she's the same as y'all. Her people were slaves. My people were never slaves. Go ahead.
You shall plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof. Your ox shall be slain before your eyes, and you shall not eat thereof. Your ass shall be violently taken away from before your face, and shall not be restored to you. Your sheep shall be given unto your enemies, and you shall have none to rescue them. Your sons and your daughters shall be given unto another people, and your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
When they got ready to sell our people, they didn't sell the whole family together. They parted it up. They did business decisions. It was business because our people were just property. It meant absolutely nothing to split up a family. So they didn't say, okay, here's a family of slaves. No. We sell the baby. You, the man, you can buy the little girl. You can get the little boy. Whole families split up. This is why it becomes a term of endearment when black people say, what's up, brother? What's up, sister? For in the whole thing, the grand scheme of things, you don't really know if that's your brother or your sister. For your family has been split up. So that is a term of endearment. Go ahead.
And there shall be no might in your hand. Verse 33. The fruit of your land and all your labors shall a nation which you knoweth not eat up.
Right. Not the Egypt that we were able to walk to. This would be a nation that you knew not. So for people to even say this might have happened to them in Germany, or this might have happened. No. These prophecies say that these things will happen in a place that they didn't know. Go ahead.
And you shall be only oppressed and crushed alway, so that you shall be mad for the sight of your eyes which you shall see. Yahweh shall smite you in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed from the sole of your foot unto the top of your head. Yahweh shall bring you and your king which you shall set over you unto a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known. And there shall you serve other gods, wood and stone.
Right. Yahweh shall bring you and the king whom you set over you to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known. None of us knew this land. Our people went back and forth down to Egypt. We've already read that. It was constant, our people going back and forth to Egypt. They could walk there. But this place, it was said, a place that you nor your fathers have known, and then you would worship the gods of wood and stone. The god of wood is that Christian cross that we worship, and the god of stone is Islam. For their holiest thing is the dome of the rock, the asteroid that fell from heaven. There go your wood and your stone. Those are the things that our people worship the most here in this country. Go ahead.
And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
A byword. African American got a hyphen in it, don't it? African hyphen American. Byword. This is why they had to give you something to get you away from Negro. See, Negro is a Spanish word for black. It says that the ships of Tarshish shall be the first to bring my sons back. It says you're going to come back the same way you came. When you find out who owned those slave ships, it was the Spanish, Portuguese, and Dutch. The Spanish had the long distance ship. Negro is just Spanish for black. See, eventually you might be able to connect the dots if they keep calling you Negro. So they had to give you something that would cause you to stop looking. So that's Africa. And that's named by Africanus. So that is not even named after. So if you are called an African American, that means you're named after Africanus, who's a white man, and Amerigo Vespucci, who's a white man. So black as you are, you come from two white people. Does that even make any sense to you? Right. Go ahead.
Among all nations where the Yahweh shall lead you. Verse 38. You shall carry much seed out into the field, and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. You shall plant vineyards and dress them, but shall neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them.
And y'all know how people out there doing all of that farming, they had to steal that food. They couldn't eat that food. They had to steal that food. If they would have had street lights, we all would have been worked to death. They had to sneak that food. Go ahead.
You shall have olive trees throughout all your coasts, but you shall not anoint yourself with the oil, for your olive shall cast his fruit. You shall beget sons and daughters, but you shall not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
Right. Most of our sons are in prison. You shall beget sons, but you won't enjoy them. For all of these laws are set up to lock us up more than any other group of people. You don't hear of anybody talking about a large group of Jewish people in prison. Yet, we can go back to where brothers have gotten 10 years for stealing a case of beer. Go ahead.
Verse 42. All your trees and fruit of your land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within you shall get up above you very high, and you shall come down very low.
Right. So now the Hispanics have come here. We have been here all this time. They have come here and they have come up above us. They have their own bus system. They have their own this, their own that. I didn't know what was going on. I was on Beaufort Highway and they got a little Spanish bus. Don't pick up number Spanish people. I said, what did they get? They got their own motor bus? What is that? They the only ones know it's even coming. You don't even know to look for no bus. You're like, what is that? No, senor, it's not for you. No, senor, no, you have to write the motor. It's not for you. Wow. Right. They've come here and gotten above us. Yahweh already said it. So that means if they claim to be the children of Israel, they should be able to find these things. Well, why is it we can't find any of them? Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 44. He shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail.
And we know we ain't lending no money. We're not in a process to lend no money. We the borrower. Go ahead.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you, and shall pursue you, and overtake you, till you be destroyed, because you hearkeneth not unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded you.
Right. This is why these things happen unto us. If we had done what we were supposed to do, no nation would have been able to do anything unto us. Go ahead.
And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed forever. Because you serveth not Yahweh your Elohim with joyfulness, and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shall you serve your enemies which Yahweh shall send against you, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck, until he has destroyed you.
We can still find those pictures today, where our people had the yoke of iron, the little iron part that you normally put on an animal, and then that animal walks and he tills the ground. They put those on men. So the man had a big iron thing around his neck, and he walked, and the little metal part would be in the ground, tilling the ground. We can still find those pictures now. Bet you ain't never seen no Jewish person with one of them on. Right. He might have sold the yoke to somebody. But you ain't never seen him with that yoke on. Go ahead.
Yahweh shall bring a nation against
But people will say, well, Esaac is being racist. Hey, man, we're reading right here out the book. This is what people say that they believe in. So if this is the core part of your claim to the land, then you should be able to show me these things. Go ahead.
Verse 49. Yahweh shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
There is no coincidence here. Yahweh shall bring a nation against you from the end of the earth. You know how far we had to be a ship to get here? Then as swift as the eagle flies. The Romans used the eagle, and American used the eagle too. This is their symbol. So then we get here to where the symbol of pride is the eagle. Right. Go ahead.
A nation whose tongue you shall not understand.
Did we understand this language when we got here? But our people was able to go down in Egypt and communicate with those people all the time. But we wasn't able to communicate with these people. Right. Go ahead.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Did they care whether or not they sold a old person or a young person? They did not care. There was no respect to, oh, well, this is one of the elders of their people. They didn't care. Go ahead.
And he shall eat the fruit of your cattle, and the fruit of your land, until you be destroyed. Which also shall not leave you either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of your kind, or flocks of your sheep, until he have destroyed you. And he shall besiege you in all your gates, until your high and fenced walls come down, wherein you trusted throughout all your land. And he shall besiege you in all your gates throughout all your land, which Yahweh your Elohim have given you. And you shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and of your daughters, which Yahweh your Elohim have given you.
These were the things when our people was locked into that land and besieged round about. They cut them off from everything, and our folks ended up eating their own people to survive. Jump down to verse 64.
And Yahweh shall scatter you among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there you shall serve other gods.
Right, because you would not serve Yahweh in truth and righteousness, then Yahweh then scattered us all across the globe so that we would serve other gods outside of our land. And we have not heard any other nation of people produce anything like this. Yet the whole earth has agreed in collusion to tell the same lie. Yet they cannot find any mass transportation of these people. And you cannot get to the corners of the globe without being on ships. There's too much water. So the bottom line, we're looking for a boat ride. Where your boat ride? And if you got a ticket, that ain't it. Go ahead.
Which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest.
Right. So yet we look here, and those very people are in charge of the economy. Bush said we can't finish working out the things of the economy because it's a Jewish holiday. Then he smirked, letting everybody know that, oh yeah, this big bad America, but the Jewish people run the economic system, so we can't do. Right when they were pushing this, all the stuff that happened before Obama got there, when he was pushing the economic recovery, they couldn't do it because it was a Jewish holiday. Yet Yahweh said what was going to happen to these people in all the places that we were scattered, yet they own whole television networks. The book of Negroes that you just saw, the Jewish people own the network. So they decided who knows what was supposed to be in it. They decide what's going to be aired and what is not going to be aired. They are in charge of the music industry. Yet this book says that they will be underfoot this whole time. There's something that's not fitting here. Go ahead.
But Yahweh shall give you there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fare day and night, and shall have none assurance of your life.
Right?
In the morning you shall say, would Elohim it were evening. And at evening you shall say, would Elohim it were morning. For the fear of your heart wherewith you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see.
Right. Nobody else has the fear that our people have to deal with. Nobody else. People all think police brutality is a joke. They say, hey, we must have done something wrong. It is hard for them to believe. But you have to examine the thing for what it is. An officer is an overseer. That's what he does. He has been given the right to beat, whip, and kill so that he can provide for his bosses. See, the slave master never got his hands dirty. He didn't have to beat nobody. He had an overseer to do all his dirty work. And he was just slightly above poor white trash. So he already had indignation anyway. And they needed somebody with just a little bitty hint of indignation. So he would do that job thoroughly. So the police, a lot of them have some kind of indignation, and they get to take it out on us. Go ahead.
Verse 68. And Yahweh shall bring you into Egypt again with ships.
Egypt, this bondage, again with ships. So, even if, and this is a big if somebody could convince you that the people who call themselves Israelis, if they could even somehow convince you that that was them in Egypt that served that captivity, then where is there again? And this again, he said, by ships. Where's your ship ride and where is your again? Even if you claim that was you, even if we give you that much. Okay, we back up, we give you this lie. Now show me this one. Go ahead.
By the way, whereof I spake unto you, you shall see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
No man shall buy you. When you look that up, you find out it says no man shall redeem you. Do you see what was happening in that book of Negroes? The Jewish man had to come and say, she's my slave and I let her free. That was redeem you. No man shall redeem you, meaning set you free. So these people could have their freedom, but then they got to turn around and constantly walk with the freedom papers. But then what if somebody take the freedom papers? Then you ain't free no more. Nobody else can produce this except you. And do not let anybody else give you low self-esteem about your heritage and the things that your people have gone through. Everybody else is going to put theirs out there in dramatic form and show you what all hardships that they went through. You don't have to question whether or not they went through what they went through. Your question is, where can we find it in this book?